So, we're going to chat a little bit now about interpreting and limitations as a professional, knowing your boundaries as a professional, as well as helping one another become or be prepared as professionals. So, Kova, you had this really moving story about your experience interpreting in a psychiatric hospital. Can you share that with us?
Of course, this happened many years ago, and I was a lot younger, and I had never worked in a psychiatric setting. I had gotten medical training as an interpreter, or training for to be a medical interpreter, and I had experience interpreting in medical settings, but this was a different type of setting. Uh, And I didn't receive any information about what I was going to be interpreting, or the case in particular. I was hired by a company. I don't think they knew either. Normally, because of confidentiality and HIPAA, we'll talk about it another time, maybe they don't share information easily.
Yeah.
So I arrived in the hospital, which was already a shock. I had never been in a psychiatric hospital.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys have ever been in one, but they're not pretty.
Mhm.
They're cold, they're
Mhm.
dark.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways, I arrived and there was a large team of medical personnel that was working in the case. And the patient I had to interpret for had a speech impediment.
Mhm.
And when he first arrived, he was having some sort of an episode. I don't know exactly what his condition was. I don't remember, but he was very he was, I don't know, yelling and screaming and like hitting and throwing his arms everywhere, and they were asking him questions and he was answering them, but I couldn't understand anything he was saying. And I was already kind of in shock because of the whole like getting there. I was nervous and because I didn't know exactly what could have happened. And I just remember like the entire team looking at me expectantly, like, for me to tell them what he was saying. I had no, like, I could not understand what he was saying. We
Yeah.
oral interpreters, if we don't understand what people are saying, we can't interpret.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually decided that I didn't want to do that type of interpreting again because I didn't feel comfortable. I maybe I wasn't prepared and that was part of the problem. I don't know. Um, I didn't hear any part of interpreting in psychiatric settings in my training as a medical interpreter.
Yeah.
And I thought, if somebody had talked to me about without giving me any information, they shouldn't, but just basic stuff, maybe I would have been a little bit less scared and I would have been able to handle it a little bit better. We couldn't actually have the session because, yeah, they had to take him away eventually, and they couldn't get the information that they needed from him. And I felt bad because I felt, oh, I didn't do my job.
Oh gosh, that sounds like such a challenging situation and difficult because you're a human being, you're an interpreter, you're a human being, and if you haven't been in a setting like that, you don't know what's happening. So if someone is very agitated, as you're describing this person to be, that could be really scary. And depending on our history with being around a certain type of agitation or aggression, that could even be, traumatic for some of us, right? Or we could freeze in a response of being scared for our own safety. So, as a therapist, I'm kind of thinking, gosh, in that situation, I mean, with connection work, we're probably mostly going to be remote, so that situation would not happen in the way it happened to you. But
Right.
it's within the realm of possibility that someone could pop up on a screen and have some type of episode too. And that could be really off putting if we're not prepared for it. So it makes me think about how
Right.
important it is for a therapist to say, hey, I can't break confidentiality by sharing any information without the consent form signed by the patient to release information, because that's something that we're trained to
Correct.
never do, right? Is to break confidentiality. So, without breaking confidentiality, one of the things I might say is from what I know about this person that we're going to be meeting with, they could react in an aggressive or loud or agitated manner. Oftentimes, in my experience, when that is happening, it's because that patient or that person is really scared. And
Yeah.
so acting really big to kind of, it's protective. And so if that happens, Kova, maybe something that you can do is just, remain quiet, stay calm, stay regulated. They aren't going to hurt you. The likelihood of them hurting you before someone can intervene is really small. And, maybe that would have made you feel a little more safe, a little calmer.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, having that information, I think would have at least prepared me for what could have happened. And also like knowing that the person, there are different levels of speech impediment, but I think they could have told me that this is like, it's going to be hard for him to understand. So we don't expect you to understand everything he's saying, but the little, like anything that you can just, that would have made me feel a little bit less stressed about not doing my job. and
Mm,
and also like, I mean, there are certain situations that you can never prepare for, right? So sometimes I don't know, maybe this time they could have told me that and I could have still like been shocked, I don't know.
yeah.
But I have the feeling that if you, like, somebody had told me what you just said, that would have like prepared me a bit better, and I would have known also how to react there and like talk to someone in the team and say, hey, I like, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I don't feel safe, or you know just try to do my best, knowing that my best is probably was not going to be enough,
Mm.
but that's okay.
And yeah, that speech impediment makes it an added challenge because not only is there big emotion in the room, but also you couldn't understand the words. So
No,
having that information would have helped you prepare.
absolutely.
Yeah, so this is about kind of knowing where our role is, right? Because as you're talking, I can see how easy it could be for an interpreter to say, oh, maybe I should clarify, right? And then now you're not interpreting, you're becoming the person asking the patient, like, Mr. So and so, can you please repeat that? Did you say this? Like, that can easily become a part of the process if you're not trained to just, interpret whoever the person is. Does that
I
ever
mean,
happen?
we still clarify it. If there is need for clarification, you still clarify it, and you just let the parties know that you're clarifying. In
Okay.
this particular case, though, I don't know if I was able, like, I've never experienced a situation with a person with an episode, and he didn't know me, and I don't know if he, like, if even if I try to clarify, if
Mm,
that would have helped in any way. I wasn't sure. Like, this is a very specific case. Um, I always encourage people to clarify. Definitely, it is part of the process
mm,
in interpreting. But in this particular case, like, I don't know if I would have been able to, like, I did probably ask him because I don't remember, but I did probably ask him to clarify. But again, he didn't know me and maybe he didn't feel comfortable with me. Like, I
yeah.
don't.
Yeah. So in this case, I'm hearing a couple of things. One is helping the interpreter prepare to the best that the therapist can without
Right.
using PII or personal identifying information, right? Another one is for an interpreter to know that, oh, this might be beyond what I can do, and to be able to state that.
Yes. The more we know, the better prepared we can be for any assignment. This applies to any type of interpreting, right? But if you know ahead of hand, for example, I've had experience, unfortunately, with guns. I've been affected, I've been a victim. So maybe I don't feel comfortable if that might, I mean, as to the extent that, of course, the therapist can share the information and know about it, because maybe they don't know and this can come up. But if that's something that might trigger me as an interpreter, and the more I know beforehand, the better I can do my job, or I can say, I'm not the right person to assist in this case. It would be better for you to work with one of my colleagues. But yeah, definitely, always the more we know, the better prepared we can be to facilitate the communication. as smoothly as possible.
Right. And something for therapists to kind of keep in mind is we can easily, I'll speak for myself, we can easily start taking on, the responsibility of providing care for the interpreters, right? But we want to encourage therapists who are working with us to, just focus on your responsibility to the client because at Connection, what we're trying to do is also create an ecosystem where we're supporting the professionals, right? The interpreter, therapist, and the client, so that we all have our own space to kind of digest and process what's coming up for us. Because you're right, the content could be, really triggering or activating, and we are human, so that can happen, and we all need support.
Yes, we do. And that's what's great about connection and the way we're doing things, because um, that way we really all can help each other, and that's beautiful.
All right, that's it for now.
Thank you.